playing hockey with the Mount Royal College Cougars. After practice, we went out. We went down to a place called Electric Avenue, the rockin' place to be, and we were having a heck of a time. We were going back to Mount Royal to our dorms. We stopped at a red light and looked over. There were two men in another car. We looked over there. An exchange of words happened. And then we kept on proceeding along up in this direction. I don't remember the gun coming out till much after the words were spoken. The last thing I remember is saying, that's not a gun, that's a water gun. Next thing you know, a gun goes off. I really don't remember much. The next thing I remember is being at the fire department, probably 10 minutes later when they were trying to get me into the ambulance.
I went to the door and the policeman said, "Are you the father of Kent Hehr?" And I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Well, he's at the Foothills Hospital and he's been shot in the neck."
On the night of October 3rd, 1991, 21-year-old Kent Hehr's life as he knew it, life as he expected it to be, changed forever.
You go out one evening and the next day you wake up a quadriplegic.
Gone was the thought of ever playing hockey again. Gone even was the hope of walking. Gone for a time was any hope at all.
We got there very quickly. They took us to, I believe it was an emergency still at that point in time. And they took us to him, and his first words were, "Mom, Dad, I'm paralyzed. I wish I was dead." Those were his first words.
The doctor, around 8 hours after I had been shot, came into me and my family and said, "Look, you're not going to walk again. I've looked at the x-rays. This is how it is. And you should prepare your life with that knowledge." A hard thing to hear.
"24 years later, almost to the day,
these doors don't knock themselves."
Kent Hehr was out to make history of a very different kind.
I thought it'd be very, very difficult for Kent to win federally.
But the numbers show we now have a winner.
But Kent Hehr has made a habit in his lifetime of proving people wrong. October 20th, 2015 brought the Trudeau Liberals a stunning majority, a win that made Kent Hehr the first Liberal MP for Calgary Centre in 5 decades. Victories, when they happen, are sweet. But the victory for Hehr was a very long road, one that really began all the way back on that terrible night in 1991.
The doctor was very clear. He was a C4-5 quadriplegic. He would never walk. He would be in a wheelchair all his time. They may be able to teach him to feed himself and that kind of stuff there. But clearly this is a life-changing event.
I'm a C5 quadriplegic. So what that essentially means is that I don't have use of about 90% of my body. I have limited finger movements and the like. I need a wheelchair. Hearing those hard conversations from the doctor, something is like hearing it from your coach. You're not going to make the Medicine Hat Tigers this year, my friend. Sorry about your luck. You've tried hard, but you're going to have to try to build your life in some other way. You learn a thing or two playing 25 years in the National Hockey League.
Turns out the coach Hehr was used to hearing from was his own dad.
We're in the Norma Bush hockey rink in Calgary, Alberta. You know this place very well.
Hey, I got great memories here. We took part in hockey right from the time I was able to skate almost, with dad coaching, with camaraderie with teammates, and wins and losses, great times, great wins, great defeats. And
so your dad would be here, watching you diligently on the ice?
Watching and encouraging in a way that my father could. He was a very good coach. See what they
And in the darkest time of Hehr's life, his dad played the role of coach once more.
I remember about 7 months after I had my disability, a woe is me moment where you're sitting around, a little bit complaining about your situation, depressed about your situation. And I said to my father, well, Dad, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And he said, frankly, son, I'm not so certain what you're going to do, but I know you can go back to school. And so with that conversation, I enrolled in the University of Calgary, and 11 months after my disability, I went back to school. And that was an important step. Look, the toughest day of having my disability was not the day after I was shot and when I woke up in the hospital. It was going back to school 11 months after. I felt different. I felt awkward. I was not in my element because I went to school before with some of the armor you build up around yourself, a sense of who you are. Look, you're a hockey player, you're a jock, you've known and interacted with people in a certain way your whole life, and now that has changed. And building up that capacity over the next 10 years was slow but transformative.
This is part of that transformation.
It is fabulous. You got a turning radius. Look, I thought one of the greatest things that happened to me was getting this elevating device on my wheelchair. When I go to a restaurant, a pub, or when I'm standing in a group, I can now look at eye level with an individual. I always felt when I was in the lower position, I wasn't able to communicate.
Mr. Kent Hehr.
But so impressively is this.
I, Kent Hehr, do solemnly and sincerely swear that I shall be a true and faithful servant to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as a member of Her Majesty's Privy Council for Canada.
On November 4th, 2015, Kent Hehr was sworn in as Canada's Minister of Veterans Affairs and Associate Minister of National Defence.
Your journey, is it very much aligned with what a lot of our Canadian veterans go through?
Well, if you are in Veterans Affairs, you have suffered an illness or injury as a result of military service. You've had to take off your jersey. You can no longer participate in the career and the life you chose. And for many who do that, the difficult thing is the ending of a career and the separation from their friends, their teammates, the people that they were contributing to society with and serving our great nation. It's like the end of a hockey player's career, or in my case, the end of that life that I once knew. And how do you rebuild it from there?
Build it, he did. But Hehr will insist doing that, rebuilding his life from the one he once knew, didn't happen alone.
So just like the coach he was, your dad says to you, what?
Oh, hey, my dad said we're gonna carry on this. We're gonna build our lives and go from there. My dad was
Did you just go along?
Well, hey, like I said, I picked my parents very well, and without their love, care, and support, after that incident, I would not be here right now. Here's a secret: my sister, although she's 2 years younger than me, was a couple of years more advanced than me in school. Although being 2 years younger, she was always my older sister. She was sort of more organized, a little more diligent, had her life together at a very early stage. Okay, I was a little more erratic. But my sister got into law school. And I remember then, over the course of those first couple of years when she was in there, a lot of people said, my goodness, your sister's in law school. She's really, really smart. She's doing great things. And I said, well, my goodness, that's, if all you have to do is get into law school for people to say that about you, this is a great little thing. So I worked hard, got my marks up the last 2 years, and enrolled.
For most, that would be enough of an against-all-odds story. A quadriplegic who gets into law school and then goes on to make it as a lawyer in the oil and gas industry. A reasonable enough place to stop. But for Hehr, it was all just beginning.
It's a new way of...
In 2006, just 5 years after graduating from law school, Kent Hehr won the Liberal nomination in his Calgary riding. And once again, he was motivated by events that spun out of that fateful night of October 3rd, 1991.
So how'd you go from law to then politics?
It crystallized for me the importance of government, the incident on October 3rd, 1991. Look, I went into a hospital. Got the best care in the world. My family and I did not receive a bill. I went into accessible housing, which was subsidized by the government. I was receiving help through caregivers, subsidized by the government. I went back to University of Calgary, subsidized by the government. Without the role of government, I would have not been able to build my life. So you might look at Kent Hehr, wow, he's been a tremendous success. But it's more a little bit of luck. I picked my parents and my sister very well, and I was born in Canada. A society that understands equality of opportunity, whether you're born of a wealthy family or one that struggles, whether you have a disability or whether you're able-bodied. Your government is going to provide you with opportunities to build your life. And those were available for me in 1991. I sensed that I wanted to see that continue for other people in our society. I believe in our party.
And with that driving him, the idea that good governance can help lives, Hehr took on and won his riding in the 2008 Alberta provincial election.
Mr. Speaker, given that it takes 3 years to build a new school, that would take us to 2017 if the government started building them today. And given that even a kindergarten student knows it takes money to build schools, and this government doesn't have any, will the minister just admit that these schools will not be built by 2016? It's a pretty easy answer.
So as an MLA for, 9 years or so?
8 years.
What did you achieve in that time?
I took some reasonably bold positions that I think over time proved to be largely correct. I made some decisions in 2010 to discuss the fact that we were spending all the oil wealth in one generation and still not having the ability to build a school, i.e. the Alberta taxpayer was, in my view, not contributing to the public purse. Look, we had no PST, we had a flat tax, the lowest corporate tax rate, and was it a wonder that you didn't have an ability to provide what I thought were essentials to ensuring equality of opportunity. Speaking out in favor of raising taxes was not an easy thing. But overarchingly, by 2015...
Especially not in the West, especially not in Calgary.
But by 2015, we started making those speeches, 2009, 2010. By the election in 2015, all the parties outside of the Wild Rose were on board with that. How are you, sir? Would you like to be insured? Although I've never been part of the Canadian Armed Forces, I sense there are some similarities. That separation from being with your teammates. Separation from doing what you love to do and wanted to do.
So is that why you were chosen to be Veterans Affairs Minister? Because you understand that journey.
I'm not certain. We have a very wise Prime Minister who looked at skill sets of a great many people, and he felt that I would serve well in this role.
What did the Prime Minister share with you as to why he chose you for that role?
Well, when we went into our meeting, when I learned I was Veterans Affairs, he said, I feel that you can not only deliver on the mandate letter, but you can also develop a sense of connection with our veterans, an understanding that will go a long way in seeing similarities between building your life again.
On this day, Hehr is back in the province and the city, Calgary, he loves. But he's not in his hometown as a provincial MLA anymore. Now he's back as a federal minister, and this time he's fighting the good fight for veterans.
Gentlemen, how are you? Good to see you, Hehr. Guys, how are you?
Visiting where so many of them have ended up, at a downtown homeless shelter.
We all make it through. It's a challenge for me as Minister of Veterans Affairs, with more veterans finding them homeless, to tie into our whole of government approach, to get veterans that opportunity to find housing.
He knows how close to the line life can be for veterans battling illness or disability.
In this country, if you're disabled, you are most likely poor. Most likely your parents are suffering high divorce rates. You're not getting opportunities to build your life, whether through it's a place to live or the supports you need.
In sessions in the House, Hehr doesn't pull any punches about who he holds accountable for shortcomings.
The Conservatives demonstrated their commitment to recognizing the sacrifices of our Canadian Armed Forces by closing 9 Veteran Affairs offices and cutting 800 frontline workers. Darn right.
But here at this Calgary drop-in center, he reaches out a hand to everyone struggling.
We've got to get the trades back working again.
Agreed. Agreed.
The trades are the key to the economy.
We got to find a way. We got to innovate, to get more productive, to get more people working.
Yes.
Agreed, my man.
He's got a very loud and very clear message to send about how bad things have gotten and who's responsible.
Let's remember, before 1980, there were relatively few places like the drop-in center. There were relatively few people who were homeless. This has crept up on our society over the last 35 years. Governments have been slow to react to see what's happening out there, and it's really been a failure to provide those services that people need to build their lives. And it's time in this day and age to recognize the problem and get on with addressing it.
The Honourable Minister of Veterans Affairs.
Now he's that government, and the hard work is on his plate. Back in Ottawa, back where he signed a mandate letter making 15 promises of change for veterans.
Delivering timely benefits is an area we can and must do better at. There's 15 things in my mandate letter that I need to get done, but primarily we got to look at financial security for veterans. We have to look at supports for getting people back to work and the educational opportunities to build their lives when they've left the military, when they're no longer able to participate in that realm. We also have to look at mental health supports and the role of the family. And those are all encompassed in those 15 mandate letter items that I believe we've accomplished 6 of those 15 at this time that make things better financially for many of our veterans out there. And now we got to get to work on the other parts of the mandate letter.
It's a daunting to-do list, which could help explain why he takes time out from time to time for another gig.
You officiate at weddings. This is an interesting thing a lot of Canadians may not know.
As a former MLA, you get to officiate weddings, and I do probably 5 weddings a year. It's a true joy. I have a sense that some people call me up because they know I work cheap, free. But it's a joy. I get to share people's lives.
Is there a love in your life?
Yes, I have my partner, Deanna Holt. And finally, at around 43 years of age, I found myself mature enough to be in a reasonable relationship, and we're doing very well. And really has added a whole host of balance to my life, and she keeps me in check.
On our last stop back in his hometown, Hehr takes us to one of his favorite watering holes to talk a little politics.
Former Veteran Affairs Minister, Mr. Julian Fantino, comes to mind. The kind of acrimony that we saw play out in front of television cameras, you know, where veterans are just furious over cuts to pensions. And you saw the minister bite back. Do you have to win back that trust that was lost, or how do you?
Well, what we always have to remember is that veterans have served our nation, and we owe them a duty to treat them with care, compassion, and respect. I have every confidence in my tenure as being Veterans Affairs Minister. Some people may be angry at me, and we have to still understand that we have reasonable discussions about policy options that we take, and we have to give and take in politics in a fair-fashioned, open-minded, reasonable way. And that's the way that I'm approaching it, and our department's going to approach it going forward. People from the community.
That's the kind of thing you'd expect to hear from someone who could be called a man of the people. And if there was ever a sign that he is that man, then it's probably hanging right here on the pub wall.
So the jersey, proud to have it hanging here?
Yes, it is. So that was why I played in the 89-90 Alberta Junior Hockey League All-Star game. It's a neat feeling when you come in here and you see your old jersey.
Yeah, what does that mean to you?
It means a great deal. I have the people in Calgary Centre are my neighbors, my friends, people I grew up with. And it's a real thrill to represent them on the national stage and to share my life with them, whether it's here, whether I run into them at the Parliament of Canada. It's been a true joy.
Kent Hehr's life seems a very long way now from that night 25 years ago when everything changed. But ask Hehr and he'll tell you that fateful day was just the start of a great journey.
I have to ask you, whenever you're passing through here, is it a bizarre moment for you? Or
to be honest, I rarely think about that day. I've moved on with my life, and I think that's a good thing. One can, I'll play these things through a million times, wish you went home 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes later. I rarely think about it. And in fact, I think that's a blessing that I don't. It's I got too much going on in my life, too much to be thankful for, loving what I do to bother replaying an incident that happened 25 years ago. How did that date work out with the guy? Are you guys still working there? Or boyfriend, girlfriend? Wow.
Leave, sweetheart.
Well,
I ran into the mayor twice.
What did you tell the mayor?
I'm still homeless. What is wrong with this picture?
Well, a novel. How far are you in?
80,000 words.
Wow. Hey, Sarah, please, can you take a picture of me and my friend? Here's his phone.